but we all kind of have our own little independent practices in how we do business. So as an industry as a whole, it's very complicated for companies to roll out universal value propositions to originators. So I never get bored with that message. If you get bored with the message, you'll lose the message.
Mondays are the busiest day in Originators week. You said that if you get bored with your message, you'll eventually lose your message.
And so when you think about those calls, it's a great way to start the week because we're talking about mindset.
Yes.
Okay, and how to have a winning mindset, which is, I got to tell you something. It's a reminder for all of us, myself included.
Matt Weaver, the #1 mortgage originator in the United States for most loans closed in 2023 and #1 in the state of Florida from 2020 to present, has spent over 27 years mastering the purchase market, earning more than 16 #1 titles across his career. Max Fisch, 2024's #1 originator in the United States under 30 and #2 in the state of Florida, achieved those titles within just 5 years of entering the mortgage industry, compressing decades of growth into a few extraordinary years. Collectively, they've helped more than 40,000 families purchase their first home. Now partners and looking to improve the industry on a national scale, Matt and Max share their winning formula, team structure, and systems with originators who want to scale from elite to extraordinary levels.
All right, Matt, before we get to it today, okay, we need to revisit the definition of raw winning, okay? Because it goes hand in hand with what we're talking about today.
Oh.
So I need to revisit it.
Go.
The definition of raw winning that we've discovered here is winning that's stripped down. That is the tough part of winning. What most people would consider losing. It's like the process of winning.
Yes.
And we call that raw winning.
Exactly.
Now,
very, very clear to us.
Very clear. Okay. So raw winning, most people would consider losing. We look at it as winning.
Why don't you give them an example?
So an example of raw winning would be me doing an event, okay, in Orlando, okay, leaving that event, driving 3 hours directly to another market, okay, getting into a hotel there, waking up the next morning, doing another event, and then driving 4 hours home.
Yes.
So most people would look at that and say, okay, that's ridiculous. It's a lot of driving. That's going to be annoying. When am I going to sleep and eat?
Correct.
We look at it as raw winning.
That would be raw winning.
Yeah,
right.
Just raw, especially if you stop at a Subway.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
That would be more or less, but raw winning. So when we look at it, we've always said that Mondays are the busiest day in Originators week.
Correct.
Okay. Coming off of a weekend, you get bombarded with questions about all these things going on Monday morning. Okay.
You drop to 30 miles an hour over the weekend.
Yeah.
And you're back to 150 on Monday.
Yes. So Mondays, it's almost like an industry no-no to do anything other than answer phone calls, texts, kind of play defense on Monday morning.
Correct.
So naturally, we as a team rolled out raw Mondays.
That's correct.
Because it was only right that we put a meeting for our F13 members and their rainmakers.
Yes.
Okay, so sales meeting for F13 and their rainmakers right on a Monday morning, every Monday at 11:30. That includes Monday holidays.
That includes Monday holidays, right? And I think when we first rolled it out, the following week was, what was it, Memorial Day?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Memorial Day. So Memorial Day Monday was a raw Monday call, 11:30 a.m.
11:30.
100%.
And that's Eastern, by the way.
Oh, yes. So our West Coast folks,
It's even more raw.
how committed they are. Now that
They're in there.
Yeah. Well, we had 100% attendance. There's something like 65 people on the call every Monday, 11:30 a.m. sharp Eastern. So thank you to our West Coast friends on our raw Monday calls, and they're raw.
100%. And one Monday, it was a couple weeks ago, you brought up a concept that I thought was so interesting. You said that if you get bored with your message, you'll eventually lose your message. You shared that with the great F13 members and their rainmakers on that call. And I just thought that was a fascinating statement.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So true.
100%. Most originators, first, they don't have a message, which is a challenge to begin with. I don't say that disrespectfully. They don't have a set of value propositions that they circle themselves around. And the reason for that is because, of course, the industry is an interesting industry. all of us, for the most part, are employed by mortgage companies, but we all kind of have our own little independent practices and how we do business. So, as an industry as a whole, it's very complicated for companies to roll out universal value propositions to originators. So, in essence, the originator doesn't have really a value proposition to talk about. So, as an example, here, our 4 pillars of value at the Matt Weaver team was designed in 2010. Okay, so here we are 16 years later. And I've been talking about our 4 pillars of value for 16 years. In fact, virtually every presentation I do, I talk about our 4 pillars of value. So I never get bored with that message. If you get bored with the message, you'll lose the message. I'll give you an example. We talk about how we operate 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., 364 days a year.
Yeah.
If you were to speak to any of the real estate agents here locally that we serve and do not serve, they will tell you, oh, let me guess, 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., 364 days a year.
Yeah.
On holidays, we send out emails that say 364 means 364, meaning we are operating. The only day we're closed as a unit is Christmas Day. It's been the same way for 16 years. So watch, it's almost like I'm promoting it now. Okay, I don't get bored with the message.
Yeah.
So what originators, I think, need to ask themselves is, if an agent walked in a room and said, I want you to tell me why I would do business with you over the competition, can we clearly articulate our value propositions to that agent, to that customer? And if we can't, then we may want to consider writing out our value propositions, writing out what it is that we stand for. So in 2010, interesting story, I was walking into an appointment. It's the biggest appointment of my career. Okay, the owner of the lending institution I was with, he called me and 3 other originators into this meeting. And he said, okay, if we land this appointment with this broker owner, they have 450 agents. It's going to be our biggest, account ever. So we sit down in this meeting. Okay, it's me, 2 other originators, and the owner of the company, WCS Lending, and the broker owner and their assistant. He walks in. Now I'm thinking that he's going to, have some pleasantries, where are you from? Do you have any kids? Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Broker owner sits down and he says, okay, I have already interviewed 2 lenders. You're my third. And I want to know why I would do business with you guys as opposed to the other 2 I just interviewed. I'll start with you. And he points directly at me. And I froze completely. I mean, I'd never had that in my life. And I'm talking about my jaw couldn't even open. I started turning beet red. I mean, sweat was coming down. It was profusely coming down. And I'm in like a complete lock phase. The owner of the company recognizes it, jumps in and saves me and takes over the conversation. I'm still sitting there. Can't even open my mouth. I mean, it was crazy. So that night I went home, and let me tell you something. I usually go to bed around 9:30. 9:30 turned to 10:30 to 11:30 to 12:30 to 1:30 to 2:30, 3 in the morning. Still haven't gone to sleep. I jump out of my bed. I go into my office and I write out the 4 pillars of value. But what I also wrote out is all the benefits and features of why each pillar mattered to the customer that we serve, which is the agent.
Yeah.
So anytime I'm ever asked that question ever again, I'll never be caught in that situation.
And it's so funny because when you think about value propositions, okay, we shared this on another Raw Monday call, which we had a great F13 member tell us this. And I just think this is the best story. He said, and I'm sure you recall this story. He said, since I joined F13, I've drank less alcohol.
Yeah.
and at first you're like, well, what's the correlation of joining F13 to alcohol?
Right.
And then he went on to share that now that I have value propositions to the real estate agent community, because of course the 4 pillars of value that you wrote out at 3 a.m. 16 years ago is extended through F13 members. He said, now that I have value to the real estate community, I don't have to do as many happy hours. And it was such, even though it's a story that makes you smile and laugh, it's so true because the origination industry, the industry doesn't just give you value propositions. Your value proposition from day one is, can you close and successfully fund a loan or not?
Correct.
But in addition to that, what is your value when somebody asks you? Is it, do I just communicate well? I mean, as if someone else, your competition, is going to tell them that they don't communicate well. I mean, it's not something that's a differentiator. So I just thought that that story goes hand in hand with what you're saying because it's actually distributing that.
Yeah, what ends up happening is that with the F13 members, the exciting part when we're working with them is, number one, of course, they adopt our 4 pillars of value. They adopt all the features and benefits underneath it. And they also adopt our content presentation material, and they become extraordinary presenters. But in addition to that, all those additional value propositions that we're rolling out every quarter to help the agents sell more real estate. So in essence, what happens is that you see them migrating from having to do happy hours because they don't have a whole lot to say,
Uh-huh.
okay, over to presenting real value to help the agent sell more real estate. And so the next thing you know, that member, I know exactly who you're referring to, which is why I'm smiling, hasn't hosted a happy hour in over a year. And you know what? I got to tell you something. His agents are thanking him
Mm-hmm.
because here's the deal. They don't want to do that either.
Yeah. And it's so cool because through these raw calls that we started a few months ago, raw calls, these raw Monday calls, for short, raw calls. Now through these calls on Mondays, it's really cool because we get a chance to share in real time what it is we're doing for the week, what some of the value propositions that we're honing in on, some scripting and setting some accountability measures. And it's just been a really cool environment because now you see that 100% attendance on a Monday morning that is, again, uncalled for. Like you were completely out of line in most people's eyes
Yes.
from having a call on Monday. But a lot of the things that we do in F13 are just a little bit different.
Oh, unorthodox and different. We do the direct opposite of what others do. Therefore, we'll hardly never make a mistake, right? And so it's when you think about those calls, it's a great way to start the week because we're talking about mindset.
Yes.
Okay, and how to have a winning mindset, which is, I got to tell you something. It's a reminder for all of us, myself included. Okay, that is something that we're constantly having to practice at. We're not just born with that. Okay, there's a lot of intention behind that. We're talking about what the value proposition of the week is. Okay, which target of agent we're going to be reaching out to. The next event schedule. I mean,
Yeah.
there's just so much. It's raw, but it is the way to start the week 100%.
Yeah. And my question for everybody listening would be, well, what are you doing that's raw? Because I can tell you whatever it is, your competition probably isn't doing it. It's not, it's going against the grain and it doesn't always feel good.
That's right. And if it doesn't feel like you're losing while you're winning, you're not getting raw enough.
That's so true. I love that. Thank you, Matt, as always.
Keep being raw.
At F13, you're not just joining an originator consulting company. You're joining an elite group of originators, all chasing number one, challenging each other to think differently, to think in an unorthodox manner. So visit think13.com to learn more about F13 Consulting so that you can scale your business to extraordinary levels. Thank you for watching.